we could go in and we could go for 2 or 3 hours, and maybe we could get the hunters to maybe take some pictures of us or do a video and post it on our website to show everybody that we are observing
International Rug Cooking Day.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
And I should have brought the picture out as hell. I have a picture of my two brothers standing out now. My sister said, "But Beth, that's a red barn." Well, I remember it needing paint, and it was gray. And so, but anyhow, this is one of my favorites. And Nelda I was working on it one day, and Nelda said, "Oh, you should frame it in barkwood." So I did. So Nelda isn't here, but thank you for that suggestion, Nelda. So that's what I put down as one of my favorites. I would describe my style as, I don't know, I think my style is my own. I don't ever cook anything exactly as the pattern or the way somebody showed it to be. So I put down my own, I just make it my own. The best thing about rug hooking is seeing the finished product take shape. When you get to a point where you know what it's going to look like when you're done, that's to me exciting. A piece of advice that I have for beginners is just keep hooking. I remember one time I was hooking a Santa and I wanted it done for Christmas, and it was like all of a sudden it started going faster and faster, and it got done. One of my favorite tips or hints.
I was in there one day to buy some yarn, and on the wall behind the cash register was a little book rug, and classes listed under it. One in the daytime, one at night. So I had done one at night, I was still teaching. And this is the rug that we did. Tammy Burks, this was 2004 when I was in there. And several of the people in this room I met there. Rita, and Renee, and Dulcie. Anybody else cook there? Okay, well we met every Wednesday night. Did you? Yeah. We met every Wednesday night and hooked there. This is called Pumpkin and Crow. Then, years later, one of my favorite pieces that I completed was also with Valerie Beckman. And when she did the class, she said, if you have a picture of something architectural, and she chose the barn, I chose the arbor in my garden and sent her a photograph of it, and she drew out the rug for me, and here it is.
That's so pretty.
I just retired finally from work, and my good friend Marcia Johnson, who again walk every morning, and she would talk about things she was doing in cooking, with her cooking, rug cooking, and she kind of, ushered me into rug cooking. So that's how I was introduced to it, and about that time the guild was just starting. So I would say this was around 2016, so it's been about 8 years since I started. Okay, I'm just looking to see if anyone disagreed with me. My first teacher was Anita White, and I'm going to tell you I was pretty green, and we did that. The chain, the paisley chain. Oh my gosh! And I was able to finish that, and then went on to Cleveland to the AFA biennial where she was, and actually she had put together another little kit for me, so that was nice. My very first project, Marcia gave me this pattern. It was by Edith O'Neill. It was called the Yellow Basket, and so I have to show you. O'Neill had put a lot of different stitches in this particular pattern, and I didn't realize that. And I think I might like to do it again and, you know, add those stitches. But I'm kind of proud of it. I thought for my first trip, and Rita was another one who kind of helped me think about how I fill in this black and, you know, kind of make it more interesting rather than just, you know, looking straight across. So that was pretty good for Rita. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sharon Smith. She isn't with us any longer. She did teach for us once, and it's called The Readers. And I love this one. Number one, it challenged me, but number two, it really is about my grandsons, and they love to read, and they love their pets, and so it just means a lot to me. Yeah, and yeah, my grandson has red hair, so that was a big pull. Actually, 2 of them had red hair, so anyway. So I like that. That's my favorite. As far as my style is concerned, I would say it's still evolving. You know, I like to try a little bit of everything. I stand back and I look at the really primitive, and I recently took a class with Teresa Rapstein where we did the hand torn. I loved it, and I would do it again. In fact, she's gonna come and teach it for us. Let's see, I think that will be in the fall of 2007. So I encourage you all to try it because it's a lot of fun. And really, it's not that hard on your hands. I think for whatever reason, when you hand tear it like that, when it's hand torn, it's softer and it just works nicely. But I don't think I really have a particular style. As I said, it's still evolving. And the best thing about rug hooking for me is the people I meet. They're so much fun. We have so much in common. We enjoy some of the same jokes and laugh about the same things. And so we also worry over the same things as far as our cooking goes. And so I think that's it. A piece of advice I have for our beginners is don't be too critical of your work. Just go with it, and you'll be surprised with what you have when you're finished. You'll look at it and you'll think, oh my gosh, that's right. Don't be so critical, just go with it. One of my favorite tips is don't pull out your hooking until you finish the pattern. That goes for beginners as well. But it's also true for me too. I have to watch myself on that. A proud moment for me is finishing my pattern. And I have several that I need to do that with. And a goal for the future is to make more time for hooking in my daily life. So that's right.
I was doing a whole bunch of needlepoint, and does anybody remember not the thread peddler on Stewart Street? Yes. Yeah, I went in there one day, and they had some little rug hook mats. I didn't know what that was. Actually, the first time I saw rug hooking, does anybody know Amy McFeeters in Kansas City? Well, my husband and I got together, it's a couple, some friends of ours that live in Kansas City, over the weekend in Branson. They had a timeshare, and I was doing all this knitting. This is over 20 years ago, and she was rug hooking. I'd never seen it before. She had this great big pattern. It was this big rabbit, real folk arty rabbit. I was just mesmerized with it, and she was hooking with a group in Lenexa, Kansas. I can't think of the lady that runs that group. She's been doing it for a long time, but anyway, so it stuck with me. And then at the thread peddler, shortly after that, I saw these pieces hanging up, and I ended up taking a class from Rita DeWitt. And so my first, it's probably got cat hairs on it. My very first was this little star, which, you know, just your basic star. She had a snowman or a star. I took the class. I didn't know anybody, how to finish it. I knew nothing, where to get things. You know, I just took the class and left. Then I went into the thread peddler. I was still knitting, and Tammy Burke's giant Simply Fibers Bo Peep rug was hanging up, and some other things. And so I took another class, beginning class from Tammy, and I don't have that rug anymore, but it was a little red bird. And I really love Tammy's sensibility of color and whimsy and all that kind of thing. So that's how I got started. And so I've been rug hooking for easily 20 years. And this was my first project. I'm kind of an outlier. My favorite piece almost always is what I'm working on now. Not always, but pretty much it's what I'm working on now. So I got this book. I saw on PBS they do a book talk, and it was Amy Tan, and it was about 6 months ago. The writer Amy Tan, I don't know if you know who she is, but Joy Luck Club, and pretty famous writer. And she had done a book where it was a journal. She started it, I think, over COVID or something like that, of the birds that come and feed at her feeders, and she lives in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And it's just such a cool book, so I bought it, and all summer I painted birds. And I do watch birds, and I have a lot of feeders. So from some paintings and stuff, now this is in progress. I use a lot of yarn, so I'll explain it to you. It's kind of my rugs tend to be a story. But this is what it's gonna be. I draw as I go, okay? I create kind of as I go. So this robin got in, and this is gonna be a window with like maybe an apple tree and a blue sky and stuff out the window, and then a vase of flowers, and the wall. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on the wall yet. I've been trying to use things I have at home without buying anything, which is hard to do, but so far so good. So, and I've been using a lot of yarn. I bought a kit years ago from Maggie Bathory. I don't know if any of you know who she is, but she had a online store, and beautiful. She would redo old vintage rugs, and I bought a kit from her of this big bird, and this has been about 6 years ago, and I get the kit and it's yarn, and I was like, oh, something's wrong here, I don't do that. And the yarns were beautiful, so I called her. She goes, no, I use yarn. And then she got all these big balls of yarn. It was actually rug yarn, beautiful colors. So I went ahead and hooked it and loved it. And many of you know I've had hand problems, and I had a recent surgery. Well, yarn's so much easier on my hand for cutting and all that kind of stuff. So this one is, and I'm dropping pieces, this one is a combination of yarn and wool cloth. So anyway, that's what I'm working on now. I would describe my style. The more I hook, this is very much like what I do now. It's usually wildlife. It usually involves things I see around. We have kind of a wooded property in the middle of Springfield. Things I see around my property, and I kind of like a painterly tapestry kind of look is what I do for now. Let's see. The best thing about rug hooking, once again, is the people, for sure. It's the people. I have met so many people. I have traveled. I went to Guatemala with Mary Sturdivant, Becky and my good friend. I probably should have brought that rug. We rug hooked with the Mayan women there. That's a whole beautiful story I won't go into. Maybe I'll share that someday. That's a long story. A proud moment back, this is old, but back several years ago, do you guys remember? Oh, those Stampington magazines. They'd have them at Barnes & Noble, and they were My Studio or Where She Creates. They had a whole series of magazines. Well, they had this one called Hot, is that how you say it, the French? Handbags, handmade handbags. So I was hooking all these bags. This is like 2010. And so one day I looked at the back of this magazine, and I thought, I'm gonna submit just for fun. So I submitted, and they got right back with me. And they took my article. So these are old pictures, but I used to do a lot of handbags. You've seen this one, because I drag this one in all the time. And I wrote my article. They paid me $100. I was so excited I couldn't see straight. This is mine. But they, my husband's a photographer, but they wanted to take the pictures, and they had me send them the rugs. or my bags, and then it didn't go in the issue it was supposed to go into. It went into the next one. They're many months apart, so they had them for like 6 months. So it's kind of weird to send your stuff off like that, you know. I wouldn't do that again. I got them all back. It was really nice. So I was just so excited about that. And now I don't even, they're nice bags. I don't even have any of them, except that one. So that was a proud moment. And my goal, I feel like I get too many rugs going. There's too many in the house. So the closest goal I have, and this is just not a big deal, is I want to, sometime in the spring, repaint our living room and dining room area, and I've got some rugs hanging up. I'm going to take those down. I don't know where they're going, and I might put this one up. Okay, and that's my goal. That's the only, I can't see any farther than that. So, yeah, and I'm always interested to see all these rug hookers. Like, my question is, when do you stop? Or, I've given them away. There's kind of like no one to give them to anymore. I've sold them. I just don't know what to do. So I keep looking. Yeah. But then everybody just goes, oh yeah, I just keep going on and on. And I really love, my favorite thing is taking the classes through the guild. I just love going to the classes. And sometimes I think, oh, I don't know if I want to take that class. I don't know if I want to make those patterns. I don't know. And then I end up doing it, and I just have the best time. And I'm looking forward to Janine's class. So I highly recommend taking the classes, because really every one that comes up, I think, I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to take that. And then I do, and it's just so much fun. So,
Very
that's my
nice.
story.
Thank you so much for watching. What we'd really appreciate is if you would leave some comments and questions that you might have about our journey. So please subscribe, and there'll be a video that covers a little bit more of what the Rug Hooking Guild was like. and you can check it out in the next video.